Welcome everyone. I'm Pierina. I'm a product advocate here at Metabase, and we are with our first webinar from the AI Analytics Week. It is the AI Analytics with Receipts. So welcome. We're happy to have you. First of all, please use the chat, use the reactions. We are really happy to just make this dynamic. So feel free to put any comment, any question in the chat. We also have a Q&A session. So please, if you have questions, put it there. We will have some polls throughout the presentation. Please help us filling them out. It will make this session a little bit more dynamic. It will make sure that we are connected and I'm not talking alone here. And then at the end, we will have some space for Q&A too. So if you want to have some questions, we will have some space for that too. And with that, let me just get started. So one of the things that I have here, this is actually our old web page. And the reason why I'm bringing our old web page is because it gives you an idea of what are the things that are changing. We as Metabase had this big tagline that was "Don't be a bottleneck." And the idea was that you have a bottleneck at some place that allows or that actually prevents you from having the creation of analytics and data and information. So we wanted to be the tool that help you don't be a bottleneck, help you unblock that piece. But now the bottleneck is somewhere else. We have, you used to have an issue where like not everyone was able to understand SQL, not everyone was able to create their own things. And the issue was at the top of that funnel, at the beginning of that process. The creation was hard. Now the bottleneck is somewhere else. AI is helping you create easily, and it's making this process very accessible for everyone. So the bottleneck is down the line, and the bottleneck for us, and we believe that the bottleneck is at the verification process. And that's kind of like what is setting the tone for what we are trying to build here at Metabase. With that, the big tagline for this is that the cost of creation is going down. So it's no longer something hard to do. Creation is something pretty straightforward, something that everyone can do and that AI can help you do in a very easy and fast way. So yeah, with that, let's go into our first poll. We can bring the first poll and you can see that the poll is active. You are seeing this. We're just going to give you a couple of minutes to just fill that. If you're not seeing it, or for the ones that are not seeing this, the question is, what, if anything, had stopped you from trying Metabase AI so far? So most of you are saying that you are using it, which is amazing. Some people are not using it. Some people weren't sure that that was available, and some people hadn't had time. But overall, some of you are using it, which is cool, and some people didn't know that was available. So that's also great, because we are here to just try to understand that. So yeah, some votes still trickling in, but yeah, I think that we have this split audience where people are using it and some people didn't know that was available. So, which is great, because we're going to be able to cover that. So yeah, thank you for answering our poll. So the next thing, and if you have joined our today, you probably seen our quiz, which was about knowing if your team was ready for AI analytics. And we have some results around that I wanted to share, because I think it's interesting what we have. So we just created this quiz and we put it out there, and some of you guys fill it out. So yeah, what is kind of like, where are you? Like, are you building? Are you curious? Are you scaling? And a lot of you are building already with AI. You use it regularly. And the thing that concerns you the most is security, who can see and who can do what. And you really want to control this and self-host this on your own servers, which is something that is very important. And also, you want to connect things via an MCP. Some people also want to use the CLI, and most of you are excited. So just to kind of like share the things that people are telling us about this. So in a sum up, you are using AI regularly or piloting, security and governance is the biggest blocker for broader adoption. Most of you want to self-host these analytics and these AI tools, and the MCP is the most preferred way to work with data analytics, followed by analytics as code. So this is just to understand a little bit, to put us in the context of what we are gonna see today. It is more than obvious that creation is changing, and what we wanna kind of like establish today is that we are part of that too. And how we are part of that too, this is what we are going to cover today. We're going to see Metabot. We have Metabot in product, and we have Metabot in Slack. We have the MCP server, and we have the CLI. Today, we're going to cover both Metabot and the MCP server, which is great because some of you or most of you wanted to cover the MCP server. For the CLI, we have a great webinar that we did maybe a month ago or something like that with a partner. I will definitely suggest that you go to that. The CLI is such a big topic that we wouldn't have enough time for everything. So I definitely suggest that you go and check it out. And with that, I'm just gonna go over what we have in Metabase and we have in Metabot. So you're probably seeing my Metabase screen right now. This is my Metabase instance. This is where we do things in Metabase. For those of you that haven't used Metabase before, Metabase will connect directly to your database. You will have this browser-like interface, and you will be able to see something very similar to this. And what you will have once you connect to your AI of preference, and that is important because you can bring your own token, you can bring your own model, you can use Metabase service, you will have this chat with Metabot. And what I'm gonna do here is I have a question. I'm gonna copy paste it just to make it a little bit faster. But basically, I'm just saying, I wanna know how much revenue we did last month, which is a very common question, and the main product categories that drive the revenue, as well as the location of the biggest purchases. So I'm asking a lot. I'm asking how much revenue we did, what are the main product categories that I'm selling, and what are the location of the biggest purchases. So I'm asking 3 different things, and I want to know how Metabot can help me do this. What is happening underneath? Metabase is going to go and find, with AI, of course, we're going to try to find things that are related to this. And it's actually identifying that I am asking 3 queries, 3 questions in parallel, and it's going to go and try and create all queries. First of all, it's going to show me what are the things it's using. So for example, it's using an orders table because I want to know how much I made as revenue. Then it's using my products because I want to know which products. And then it's using the people table to just bring the location of these people. And here you have the answer. It says like, here you have your full revenue picture of last month, and it's actually showing me 3 different questions. So I have total revenue of last month, which makes sense. Like it's telling me, hey, this is what you made last month. And you can see here that it has a filter, revenue by product category. So it's giving me how much revenue I had by product category. I know that widget is the most the most successful one. And then I have the biggest purchase by location. And this is actually what it showed me as the first option. And it's telling me that Texas is the most interesting one at this point. It's telling me that location is based by the billing state because that's what they had. And that is kind of like the result I'm having. I think this is pretty decent. It's telling me all the things I have. Of course, it would have been nice if I had a way for like having these 3 dimensions into one specific question, but Metabot decided that having 3 different questions will be the best way to play it. So yeah, that's how Metabot will work. A couple of things that are important around Metabot. It will respect the permissions that you have. It will respect what you've created as the groups that you have in Metabase. So the data that Metabot will see is exactly the same data that you will see in any other way of creating things in Metabase. You have the option to put limits. You have the option to say who has access to what. And that is something that is very important. And as I mentioned, you can bring your own model. with the same idea, we can go, and I have this demo space that I also use. It's a Slack demo space. I'm just going to move this thing. But basically, what I can do here is I can tag Metabot, and I just paste the same question. So it's gonna create, and it's gonna start thinking about this same thing. So why is this relevant or important? Maybe these are the kind of things, and these are the kind of discussions that you're having with your team inside Slack. So you are not having these kind of things, these kind of conversations isolated. You are you want to get these numbers somewhere else. So this is actually what you can get inside of a Slack. So this is a little bit different. It did a search and then it tried to build the questions in the same way. I think that this is interesting because it will go and said like, okay, I want to know how much is the total revenue per month, and it showed me the revenue per month, which is interesting. It gave me a different answer. It then showed me the revenue breakdown by category. So it showed me like all the categories. And then it showed the product by state and order. So it didn't get me the same answer. It didn't get me exactly the same answer, but it went and tried a different angle, which is something that is very common with AI. But you can see that you can arrive to the same type of result with this. I will probably would wanna kind of like tweak this a little bit, because in this case, the revenue by category, it seems like it's showing me everything. So this is not that accurate because it doesn't apply the filter. So I will probably wanna go and say, okay, now show me the previous month. And this will probably give me a little bit more of what I want, you know. It's not the greatest graph because it's a pie chart. I probably want to use a bar chart for this, but you can see that it gives you a starting point. For the other ones, I think it did a pretty decent job because it did everything else. But as you know, like you need to kind of like check and see what will work. But this is how it will work inside of Slack. Let's go and see how it would look like in the MCP server. So you saw this, you saw what I created here. I'm just gonna go and open another instance of the same Metabase, and I'm gonna show you what we have here. So in the admin, you have the option to go to the AI tab and you have the MCP server. Here you can enable the MCP server. This is available for all plans and editions, and you can enable the ones that you are going to be using. So you can use Claude, Cursor, you can use ChatGPT, whatever you use in your team, you just need to enable it here. And then what you are able to do, and this is what I'm going to show you, is how that will look like into Claude. In this case, I'm using Claude, and I'm just using exactly the same question. Of course, this is gonna try to get this information. I actually made a small mistake here. I didn't tell it to use Metabase. I usually try to do that. I tell them, hey, this is the question, use your Metabase MCP server and use this database. But in this case, it was smart enough to know that I was using Metabase, or that I wanted to use Metabase. And now what it's doing is, okay, you have this e-commerce data set. Let me load the queries, let me pull the schemas, and let me just try to find the right columns to do this. Of course, this is going to take a second to just load so we can see what is happening. I had another one here, so we can maybe see that if this takes a little bit longer. But basically what it's doing, it's just, you can see that it's trying to bring all the data and like getting you those reports. We're gonna give it a second. And while this happens, I want to also show you that you have the option to do controls and access to the different tools. So if you don't want everyone to have access to everything, you can control that with the permissions. Let's see. Okay, so it actually gave me all this, and what I can do is ask it. So this is an important thing. What it did is it bring everything from Metabase, and it brought like all the data that it had, and it's showing me that inside Claude, which could be something that works for me because I just want to get the answer, and that's good enough for me. Like what I did in Slack, I get the answer, and that's good enough for me. But maybe what you want is to see this inside Metabase. Give me the Metabase charts. And I can actually ask that as a second thing. And what is this going to do is it's going to take all the results. It already had the results. So it's going to construct the queries and give me the charts. It might give me some authentication. Let's see. It gave some error there. Let's go and see the previous one that we had. Okay, let's reload this. Maybe it's gonna allow us to see it now. Okay, perfect. There it is. So you can see here, it built exactly the same charts. I can actually go and explore these charts inside Metabase. You can see it's exactly the same thing that Metabot built for us. In this case, it actually built a chart with the different states. So you can see it's very similar to what we were seeing at the Metabot level. So yeah, you can see that these are the same ways of creating exactly the same thing. You can go into Metabot and have those reports in the same way. You can go into Slack and create those kind of things in the same way, or you can use your MCP server, the MCP server of your choice, and just basically use them. These are very different ways of building and getting the same thing. I want to touch a little bit on the CLI. So the CLI works great if you have, or if you want to do a lot of things at the same time, if you want to use agents. So we can definitely use the CLI. We can definitely rely on the APIs that the CLI has. As I mentioned, there's a great webinar that you can check out, and we can definitely understand a little bit more. But as I mentioned today, maybe it's a little bit of an overkill for the time that we have. So yeah, with that, let me just go back into my presentation and my slideshow. As I mentioned, Metabot in product, MCP server, and CLI. With all that, you saw how easy it was for me to create everything. So I just put the same prompt in Metabot, in Slack, in Claude, and it was matter of maybe, I don't know, 7 minutes, because I wait for everything to happen and you see me doing it live. But it's very straightforward. I just use my basic knowledge of what I wanted, and it created everything. So this is very clear that creation is fast, but verification is more important than ever. So if I don't know enough about the data, then I am not sure of what is happening. So the cost of verification is actually the thing that it's going up, and it is basically what we want to talk about today. So with that, let's go into our second poll today. So for those of you who are following, it's what worries you the most about AI generated answers. So wrong answers, wrong numbers, no control over what it can see. It can tell how it got the answer. So I think that those are very valid issues. Not worried, curious how to prove it. So I think that most of you are around wrong numbers and can't tell how it got the answer, which I think are very valid concerns and important things. Let's give it a couple more seconds to see how it goes. I think that most of you are worried about wrong numbers, which I think it's pretty valid. I think that it's very common. And yeah, can't tell how it got the answer. I think those are the main ones based on the votes. So yeah, thank you so much for your opinions there. We have the same concerns. We all have the same concerns, I think, and that is why we want to have this verification used in Metabase in order to try to work and kind of try to reduce that fear of wrong numbers and not knowing where the answer is actually coming from and what is it using. We have all these features. We have Data Studio, which has transforms, which has table metadata, metrics, and glossary. We have a set of tools, a set of features that target verified content with library official collections and system prompts, and we also have remote sync. And that's what we are going to cover now as the next piece of our demo today. So we just go back here into Metabase, and we are going to start with Data Studio. So the first thing that we have in Data Studio is transforms, and I think it's a really interesting way of you to kind of like control and have a little bit more control of what's happening. Some of you might use some other tools to do transformations and to get the data ready, but if you don't have that, or if you want to do some light next step, transformations and transforms inside Metabase are a great way to do that. You have the option to do SQL transforms, to run them on a schedule, and to use that as the starting point for everything that Metabase and Metabot and the AI will be creating inside Metabase. You can also create Python transforms if that's something that you want. And this is going to be like the starting building block, the beginning of what you want to build inside Metabase. The other thing that it's about curating and about making sure that everything is correct is table metadata. So inside Metabase, and this is something that you have in all plans and editions of Metabase, you have the option to provide as much details on the data as you want. So you can go into a specific table, you can go into a specific field and provide descriptions, you can provide semantic types, you can provide more detail on what's happening, and all of this will nurture the AI and will provide a lot more curated results for it to actually build things that make sense. And this is going to be coming from someone that understands the data, not just assumptions or intuition from the AI and just like the statistics of like the results of the AI that could happen. So yeah, those are two things that you have. The other thing that you have is metrics. So metrics actually live inside and outside of library. So we're going to touch a little bit more on the library, but metrics are these curated aggregations, curated numbers that you can create, that you can say, okay, this is how we calculate the revenue in this company. This is how we do it. And this is what should be referenced as the main thing. And you can have something like this. You can have a revenue like this. You can have and see this, how this looks like by different dimensions, which is really cool. You can have the definition and you can see what dependencies are coming from this. And of course, you can see who created this and why is this important. So metrics are another thing that are very important, and then that will help you with verification. And then another one, which I think that helps with verification, but it's mainly for providing more context for AI, is glossary. So one thing that is very common is that for me, ARR could be one specific thing in the success team, and maybe for another team it means something a little bit different, or it has a different angle that needs to be taken care of. Or maybe I have a specific definition of a concept and I need that to be taken in consideration when I'm using AI. So that kind of thing can be done inside of glossary, and you can create those terms that will be referenced by AI. So that's something that is also very important. The other set of things that is important for verification, so this part is about verification, but it's also about curation of the data, making sure that everything that arrives into the AI, it gets into the AI, it's actually good. Then you have a second step that it's a little bit more about verifying things and making sure that only the most important thing and only the correct thing gets fitted or gets actually used. So for one side, you have the library. And the library is this place where you can say, okay, not everything is important. Not everything that lives in my database should be accessible by everybody or AI. And that is where you go and create a published table, where you create a metric, where you create a snippet. And all of this will be predominant and will be the first thing that appear and the first thing that should be referenced. Then you have two other things that are important that actually live on the main application. One is official collections, and this is important because you can configure AI to just look into a specific collection. So you can create an official collection and say, okay, this is a collection that is actually important, that is actually something that was either generated by a user or generated by AI, but it's actually verified. I know this worked. I know this is correct. So everything that lives there is going to be correct. And then you have verified items. So if this is something that was generated by AI, then me as a human, I can come and say, okay, this is actually correct. This invoice trend is correct. I can go and verify this question because I know that it's going to be helpful for someone else. So, you have official collections, you have verified items. It can be for verifying specific questions, specific dashboards, models. So it really has that option for all the assets. And then finally, another thing that helps on verification, and it actually helps on the behavior of AI, is something that lives in the AI itself, in the system prompts. So system prompts can help you give instructions that are about the tone and the way that AI responds, of course, but also about the entities to prefer. If you have a specific models, specific collections, specific things that should be the things that are prefer when doing specific commands, then here's where you will put those prompt instructions and where you will have this specific instructions. So yeah, and then I thought a lot. I talk a lot about verification, but another part of this is making sure that there is a workflow that people, when they are creating, they have a way of like a failback in a way. And what we suggest for this is to have a development instance, to have a space where you can let everyone play around, let everyone work, and then have a production instance where you push things that are specifically validated, that are correct and are going to be ready for everyone to use. So you have those options, and the way that you do that is with remote sync in Metabase. So remote sync allows you to have a development instance, have that connected to a repo. It could a GitHub repo, a GitLab repo. You can even use Bitbucket, and then you can have that into a production instance whenever that is ready. This might be an overkill for some small instances. So for that, you could use maybe different collections and just move things around between collections. For bigger installations, for internal use case, this might be a really nice way of you to control things. But I think it's very, very important when you are facing this for customer-facing analytics, when you're doing embedding or something like that, because you have a lot more control of what is happening and what you're building for your end users. So yeah, those are the main things that I wanted to talk about on verification. And let's go back into this slide. I wanted to point out on the why of this verification and why is this important. And I think that the main thing is about consistent answers. Building everything for this pipeline to work, having this semantic layer, making sure that you have verified items, making sure that you have those system prompts in place, will make sure that questions that are generated by the API, by the AI, all have consistent answers and all have this specific line that they are following, and you are not being faced with wrong numbers. But then the question is, why in Metabase? Like, you can have all this curation basically everywhere. You can make sure that all these things happen in some other tools. That's not something that is that we are not aware of. So the question is, why in Metabase? And I think that the main thing will be the end-to-end visibility and the lineage. Metabase will allow you to see everything that is happening in every step of the process. You have a transform, and you make a change in the transform, you can see what is happening between that transform, that specific published table, the specific dashboard that was AI generated, the question that your team generated, and then all the verification process. You have all these lineage, you have the option to see what is happening throughout time with Metabase. And I think that is the specific value that we find in doing things in Metabase, and also doing the creation in Metabase. I think we have a third poll. We have a third poll there that is about the curation. So let's see. I think the poll is already active. So the question is, do you already have a curated semantic layer or metrics layer? Yes, something that is a doc. Yes, something that is mature. Not sure what that means. So yeah, some people, most of you have something that it's already a doc. So of course, this is something that is part of your workflow that you already have, and that is important for you. Great. I think that most of you are replying. Most of you already know the value of this and already doing this. Perfect. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, most of you have a semantic layer and a metrics layer that is ad hoc. Some of you are not sure what it means. What it means is this specifically verified layer where you define specific tables, define specific metrics, define what each value means, a little bit like what I was showing with Data Studio, and what I was showing with the published table and the table metadata and the glossary. All that will be around the semantic layer. Okay, so I think that is pretty much all we had as this specific part. So we want to kind of like invite you to turn it on this week, invite you to check it out, invite you to see how all these features work, and give us your feedback, understand if this is something that will work for you. And with that, I also want to invite you to the rest of our webinars. We have one webinar tomorrow for AI governance, which is going to be very a complement to what I've been talking about, because all of this is really cool, but without governance, then it really has some weak links. So we definitely want you to understand that that is there, and that we have all that information around. Then I also want to invite you to the really cool webinar we will have about data apps on Thursday. I think it's at the same time. So remember that we have 2 more webinars around this. We are just starting the AI week, so hopefully you can join us tomorrow and the day after. And now let's go into some Q&A. I think we have some questions in the chat, so let me stop sharing my screen, and now you're gonna see me very big, but let's go and see the Q&A. I think that we have some questions here. Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So can Metabot, let me just add this to the stream. Can Metabot ground answers in native SQL queries, or only GUI build questions? Most of my complexity are CTEs, window function custom joins, that live in native SQL. Yes, so yes, Metabot can also write SQL. What I showed you today was pretty straightforward. You saw the question I did. It was pretty simple, which is why it just relied on the GUI question, but it's gonna do more complex SQL. I would be very honest, think that when I haven't seen it build CTEs, window functions, yes. In terms of custom joins, it doesn't do a lot of complex joins. So what I would suggest is that you do it through the MCP server or the CLI, because in those two scenarios and with those two tools, it does CTEs, it does window functions, it does the custom joins. So maybe that helps. Let us know if that answered your question. Let me go into the next question. Let us know if you have any other question there. Okay, let's see. What if Metabase already has the answer to the question? Will it provide that first, or will it default to building something new? That's a great question, Ilse. Thank you so much. Yes, it will do a search first, and it will show you that option. I gotta be very honest, it will do a semantic search. So sometimes it will find it because you are using the specific words that will do that, that will show that, but sometimes it might not be great at finding that. You can ask it to find the question or to find something specific also in the MCP server. With the MCP server, you have a little bit more control because Metabot will do the search, and then if it doesn't find the search, it will do the creation. But with the MCP server, you have more control because you can just say, hey, search for this specific thing and tell me if it exists and show me things that could work for that. So hopefully that answered your question. Let me just add the next one to the stream. When Metabot gets it wrong and I correct it, does that correction miss, or does it learn for the next time, or is it, every session is stateless? So when you correct it, you mean like maybe I need a little bit more. You can write it in the chat. When you mean you corrected is because like it did something wrong and it didn't pick the correct data source. If you do that with the data source, it's gonna correct it for the next time. But maybe if it's something else, it might not, because it doesn't remember all the it doesn't have a memory to remember what is happening for different chats. Okay, if you have more that you wanna provide there, just let me know and put it there. Okay, let's go into the next one. Is Metabase a separate cost if our company already uses Metabase? We can use Metabase in the site itself under chat, but not sure if the cost is included with activating the Slack feature. So it is a separate cost if you're using our AI service. So how it works, you can bring your own token and you can bring whatever you use. If you use OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever, you can bring it and put your own token. So that will consume your tokens, whatever you use. If you enable it through Metabot, to Metabase AI service, what we are doing is we're just passing the charge of the cost, which is $3.75 for 1 million tokens. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but it really depends on how you have it configured. If you are using your own tokens, then it's not something that will increase your Metabase bill. It's actually available in open source, so you wouldn't have anything to pay to Metabase there. It will be just your token. Okay, let's go. Next question from Ilse. Does verification train the AI? Not at this moment. It gives context for AI to do a better job, but it doesn't train the AI at this point. That is actually a really good question, and I think that it might be a really good feature request for us, which will make a lot of sense. So I'll definitely take that one, Ilse. Thank you. I think there is another one from Ain. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Let me see. Does Metabot cache answers or rerun every time? If 10 people ask similar question, is that 10 separate LLM calls? Yes. So Metabase, it will rerun every time, like the way that Metabase works in general. We just by default, we just go into the database every time, and that's how Metabot will work too. So yes, it will be 10 separate data element calls. Okay, we have another question from Igor. Is all data sent to LLM, or does it only apply to the specific structures, queries, and SQL code? It only applies to specific structures, queries, and SQL code. Not all the data. It's going to be the metadata and the question that you did. Hopefully that answered your question. And there's another one from Christian.